Every word you speak is a seed planted in the soil of your reality. Just as a farmer doesn't question whether a seed will grow once it's in the ground, the words you speak, especially when spoken consistently, begin to shape the invisible world that determines what you see and experience. There is no such thing as a neutral word. Every phrase carries energy. Every declaration forms structure. Every sentence is either sowing faith or feeding fear. When you begin to understand that your words are not just sound waves, but creative forces, you step into the authority that has been yours all along. You realize that you are not simply observing life. You are actively participating in it, designing it moment by moment with every phrase that escapes your lips. Many people speak carelessly and then wonder why their lives are filled with confusion or limitation. They say things like, "Nothing ever works out for me," or "I'll never get ahead," and they think they are just being honest. But honesty is not the same as truth. Truth is eternal, unshakable, sourced from the divine. Truth says, all things work together for good. Truth says, I am the head and not the tail. When you speak truth instead of temporary circumstances, you are planting divine seeds that will yield a harvest of transformation. A powerful truth, such as, nothing can hinder the divine plan of my life. It comes to pass under grace in perfect ways, is a seed that contains within it divine intelligence. It knows where to go. It knows how to unlock doors. It knows how to navigate systems, shift conversations, soften hearts, and redirect your steps. This kind of declaration works, whether you see immediate evidence or not. The spoken word is not about controlling the outcome. It's about aligning with the flow of divine power. When you speak it every hour, you are not begging the universe to change. You are commanding your energy to align. You are stepping into agreement with the spiritual order that has always been trying to reach you. Consistency is key because repetition builds belief. The first time you say something, your mind may resist it. It may sound too good to be true. But as you continue to speak it, hourly, daily, unwaveringly, something miraculous begins to happen. Your inner dialogue begins to shift. Your subconscious, once filled with fear, limitation, or self-doubt, begins to receive the new pattern. You are reprogramming yourself from the inside out. And once belief takes root, your outer reality cannot help but rearrange to match it. This is not magic. It is spiritual law. The law of cause and effect says that what is planted must grow, and what grows must bear fruit. But the soil of your life responds not to what you wish, but to what you speak. What you declare consistently becomes what you experience eventually. That's why careless words can produce unwanted outcomes. The good news is that once you begin to speak with purpose, you activate a force more powerful than anything you've faced. You activate the Word of God, which does not return void. You activate divine law, which moves faster than delay. You activate the kingdom within, which is never shaken by the storms outside. Even in moments of fear or fatigue, you can speak from a higher place. You can say, nothing can hinder the divine plan of my life. Not because everything looks perfect, but because truth is greater than appearance. You speak it not to deny the facts, but to shift the atmosphere. And as you speak, you are watering the seeds of your destiny. You are inviting grace to take over. You are allowing divine timing to unfold. And above all, you are taking your rightful place as a co-creator with God, shaping your life with the most powerful tool you've been given, your word. So speak with intention. Speak with reverence. Speak as if heaven is listening, because it is. And as you do, know this: the words you speak today are creating the life you will walk into tomorrow. Every hour of your life carries with it the potential to redirect your entire course. Each moment is not just passing time, but a sacred opportunity to align with the divine pattern prepared for you. The mistake many people make is living unconsciously, letting the hours slip by filled with complaints, doubts, and repetitive inner noise that affirms their fears rather than their faith. But when you choose to stop and speak words of truth, even once every hour, you activate the power of divine timing. You remind yourself that you are not at the mercy of chance or circumstance. Instead, you are moving in rhythm with divine order, a spiritual current that never fails to deliver those who trust in its timing. There is no wasted time in divine law. What seems like delay is often preparation. What appears as stillness is sometimes protection. But to remain aligned during these unseen shifts, you must stay connected to truth. The spoken word becomes your anchor, your compass, and your declaration of trust, saying, "Nothing can hinder the divine plan of my life. It comes to pass under grace in perfect ways," is more than just positive thinking. It is an act of faith that places your will in harmony with God's will. Every time you say it, you are stepping back into the river of divine flow. And that river never dries up, never detours, never forgets your destination. Life presents endless invitations to react, to fear, to assume the worst. The hour brings bills, traffic, rejection, misunderstanding, and inner storms. But when you pause in that hour to affirm divine order, you're not ignoring what's happening. You're choosing not to be ruled by it. You are creating space for divine intelligence to work through the chaos and bring clarity. You are turning away from panic and turning toward promise. And every time you do, your reality subtly begins to shift. The hour becomes holy when you bring awareness into it. This practice of speaking truth hourly is a spiritual reset, a way of tuning your soul like an instrument that easily falls out of tune amid life's noise. When you pause to declare divine truth, you quiet the chatter of doubt. You silence the inner critic. You stop the spiral of anxiety. Instead, you stand on the foundation of something unshakable. The promise that your life is not random, and that a perfect plan is always unfolding for you under grace. Grace is the secret key to everything. Grace is what turns impossible situations into testimonies. Grace is what speeds up what once seemed slow. Grace is what creates paths where there were walls. And when you affirm that your life's plan is unfolding under grace, you invite miracles without manipulation. You stop striving and start receiving. You no longer panic when things don't go your way, because you trust that there is a better way. One you may not yet see, but that is already set in motion. And by saying it every hour, you keep your heart soft, your faith strong, and your mind open. It is not the length of the declaration that carries the power. It is the faith with which it is spoken and the frequency with which it is repeated. You don't need long speeches to shift your life. A few aligned words spoken often are more powerful than 1,000 scattered thoughts. Every time you speak the affirmation, you realign with truth. You restore your awareness. You hand over control to the one who knows all things and sees the end from the beginning. Do not underestimate the power of hourly remembrance. It is a discipline that sharpens spiritual vision. It keeps you from reacting to life in fear and teaches you to respond in wisdom. It turns ordinary days into divine journeys. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes, and soon, your soul begins to expect good. Your heart grows calm even in challenge. Your faith becomes your default state. That is when reality begins to shift, not from effort, but from divine alignment. In every hour, you are invited to participate in the design of your life. You can speak from fear, or you can speak from truth. And when you choose truth repeatedly, especially in the face of contradiction, you build a spiritual foundation so solid that no circumstance can shake it. So say it every hour. Say it until you believe it. Say it until your life reflects it, because the plan is already perfect. The only question is, will you align with it in this hour? Words are not merely expressions of thought. They are agents of change. They go out into the invisible and carve a path for what is to come. When you declare a truth with conviction, especially one rooted in spiritual authority, you are not just speaking into the air. You are giving form to the unseen. Most people speak words based on what they see, feel, or fear. But when you begin to speak words of truth every hour, regardless of appearances, you are operating by spiritual law rather than emotional reaction. This kind of speaking breaks patterns of limitation, lifts the fog of confusion, and makes way for divine outcomes. Saying, "Nothing can hinder the divine plan of my life. It comes to pass under grace in perfect ways," is an act of surrender wrapped in power. You are letting go of personal control while simultaneously stepping into divine authority. You are refusing to be moved by delays, denials, or disappointments. You are stating that there is a plan greater than your current problem, and that this plan is both unhindered and on schedule. The energy behind these words is not passive, it is deeply creative. Every repetition is like driving a stake of light into the fabric of your reality, declaring territory for peace, favor, and divine intervention. The transformation begins inwardly. Your mind may still try to worry. Your heart may still ache with impatience. But the consistent practice of speaking divine truth each hour begins to rewire your thoughts. You become less attached to needing immediate results and more tuned into the knowing that something good is always unfolding. The shift is subtle at first, a moment of peace where you used to panic, a surprising opportunity where you expected a closed door, a message of encouragement when you thought you were alone. These are the signs that your spoken word is doing its work. Spiritual alignment is a process, not an event. Each hour that you speak truth is a small course correction. Like a ship adjusting its rudder by degrees, your life begins to move steadily toward peace, clarity, and fulfillment. You don't have to understand how it will happen. You don't need to see the entire path. The declaration is enough. It opens the way. It signals your faith. It removes the interference caused by fear, doubt, and confusion. There is divine timing in all things. What seems delayed is often divinely orchestrated. By speaking truth every hour, you stay in step with that timing. You don't rush it. You don't resist it. You trust it. And that trust draws the right people, the right situations, the right breakthroughs, without the struggle. Because grace works best in an atmosphere of peace. And your spoken word creates that peace, not only around you, but within you. It's easy to get caught in the whirlwind of opinions, updates, and outer noise. But the moment you stop and declare truth, you rise above it all. You remember that you are not here to merely survive life. You are here to shape it, to reflect divine order, to reveal what is possible when someone walks in spiritual agreement with heaven. And that shaping begins not with effort, but with the word. Your voice becomes a vessel. Your words become declarations. Your speech becomes the spiritual steering wheel that directs your destiny. The change will be both internal and external. Internally, fear loses its grip. You feel supported even in uncertainty. Externally, circumstances begin to shift in alignment with your affirmation. What you once tried to force now flows. What once eluded you now arrives effortlessly. This is not coincidence. It is law. Divine law responding to the authority of spoken truth. The greatest part of this practice is that anyone can do it. No special training. No elaborate rituals. Just the willingness to remember, every hour to speak truth. And as you do, your soul becomes a garden of peace. Your steps are guided. Your spirit is fortified. And your reality transforms in response to the truth you've sown. So do not underestimate a single moment. Every hour carries power. Every hour is a choice. And in that choice lies your miracle. Keep speaking. Keep believing. And watch as the divine plan of your life unfolds. Not someday, but now, under grace, in perfect ways. Every hour is a seed. And what you plant into it through your words becomes the harvest of your experience. The subconscious mind is always listening. It responds not to logic, not to the drama of the world around you, but to repetition. It accepts as truth whatever is consistently impressed upon it. That is why what you say every hour matters more than what you think occasionally. Words are not only a form of communication, they are a form of creation. When you speak a truth based on divine principle every hour, you are reprogramming your inner world. And since the outer world is a reflection of the inner, change begins to take root in both seen and unseen realms. The beauty of this practice is its simplicity. There is no need for grand gestures or endless striving. All that is required is your voice, your presence, and your faith. The words, "Nothing can hinder the divine plan of my life. It comes to pass under grace in perfect ways," carry a vibration of surrender, trust, and spiritual authority. When you speak them, you are no longer subject to outer appearances. You rise above delay, fear, and human limitation. You affirm that your path is already prepared and that it is unfolding according to a perfect pattern that cannot be disrupted. Every time you repeat this truth, you silence the voice of fear. Fear thrives in silence. It grows when we allow it to go unchallenged. But faith grows when it is spoken. Faith needs to be declared to gain momentum. Each hourly affirmation becomes a spiritual hammer that breaks down inner resistance and unconscious blocks. These words act like divine seeds planted into the soil of your mind. With each repetition, they push deeper into the subconscious, rooting out doubt and establishing a new mental pattern based on trust. You may not see the result immediately, but the energy shifts the moment the word is spoken. It may begin with a change in how you feel, a sense of peace, of clarity, of being held. It may unfold as a sudden opportunity or an unexpected answer to a long-standing prayer. But whether you see the results instantly or gradually, know that the word never returns void. It always accomplishes what it was sent to do. Your job is to keep the soil of your faith receptive through hourly reminders. The spiritual path is not about forcing change, but allowing it. When you speak truth hourly, you open the door for grace to do what your striving never could. You stop wrestling with outcomes and start aligning with divine orchestration. This doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent. It means you are taking the most powerful action. Speaking from spiritual authority instead of emotional reaction. You are saying, I trust divine intelligence more than I trust appearances. And that trust becomes the foundation of your peace. Most people live by reaction. They respond to news, to emotions, to circumstances, and wonder why they feel tossed by life. But those who live by truth speak ahead of time. They shape the hour before the hour shapes them. They declare their path even when it's invisible. They walk by faith, not by sight, and the world eventually conforms to their words. This is the quiet power of spiritual alignment. It doesn't shout, it doesn't push, it doesn't panic. It simply speaks, and the universe responds. You may be tempted to skip a few hours. You may think a day missed won't matter. But consistency is the bridge between desire and manifestation. Just as the heart beats rhythmically to sustain life, your spiritual heartbeat is found in the words you speak regularly. Each hour you affirm truth, you're keeping that rhythm strong. You're staying awake to divine guidance. You're protecting your atmosphere from negativity. You're reminding yourself that your life is governed by higher law, not by chance. The world around you may not change overnight, but you will. And that internal transformation will become the magnet for external miracles. You'll begin to notice doors open, burdens lift, and clarity replace confusion. You'll find yourself less reactive and more centered, less afraid and more inspired. Because every hour, you've been returning to truth. And truth, when spoken often and believed deeply, will always set you free. So speak the words again and again until they live in you, until they become your reality, until every hour becomes a holy moment of co-creation with the divine. That is how your life shifts, not by force, but by truth, spoken faithfully, 1 hour at a time. There is a hidden power in the spoken word, especially when it is repeated with faith and conviction. The reason most people fail to see transformation in their lives is not because they lack the ability to change, but because they do not understand the consistency required to shape reality. Reality is fluid. It bends to belief, but only when belief is anchored in discipline. Saying the same spiritual truth every hour isn't just a ritual. It is a declaration of divine order over your life. When you speak words like, "Nothing can hinder the divine plan of my life. It comes to pass under grace in perfect ways." Every 60 minutes, you are not pleading for change. You are commanding alignment. Your words, when spoken in spiritual authority, cut through the fog of confusion that the world tries to place around your vision. Each time you affirm truth, you bring clarity to your purpose. The clouds of doubt part, and a sense of direction begins to form. Often, the first shift you notice is internal. You become less anxious, more focused, more connected to something deeper than your immediate surroundings. You stop reacting to delays and start trusting divine timing. And that trust is the fertile soil in which miracles grow. Speaking truth hourly also keeps you connected to the present moment. It is a sacred pause, a breath of awareness that reminds you of who you are and whose you are. Instead of drifting through your day unconsciously, you interrupt the autopilot of worry and distraction with a powerful reminder of purpose. This builds spiritual muscle. It trains your mind to focus, your heart to rest, and your spirit to lead. In a world that is constantly pulling your attention in 100 directions, the hourly word becomes your spiritual anchor. Some might say that repeating the same phrase every hour is unnecessary. That once is enough. But repetition is the language of the subconscious mind. You didn't learn to fear in one moment. It came through repeated impressions. In the same way, you cannot unlearn fear or reprogram limitation without repetition. Every time you speak a truth, you drive it deeper into your subconscious, uprooting old beliefs that no longer serve you. And as those beliefs dissolve, new possibilities emerge. There will be times when you don't feel like saying the words, moments when your circumstances seem so heavy that the phrase feels hollow. Say it anyway, especially then, because that is when the word becomes a weapon. That is when your declaration moves beyond habit and into warfare. You are fighting back against despair, against doubt, against the pressure to surrender to the visible. You are saying, I see what's happening, but I still believe in what is unseen. And heaven moves in response to that kind of faith. You don't have to understand how it works for it to work. You only need to do your part, speak the word. Let the vibration of truth fill the atmosphere around you. Let it echo through the chambers of your consciousness. Let it guide your decisions, shape your emotions, and elevate your perception. Reality is not fixed. It shifts in response to intention. And intention is most clearly expressed through spoken truth. As the days pass, you'll begin to see alignment where there was once chaos. You'll notice that what you once chased now flows toward you. That's not coincidence. It's spiritual law in motion. You have aligned yourself with divine order, and divine order responds to faith that is spoken consistently. You have become a vessel for grace, not because you tried harder, but because you trusted deeper. And in that trust, a shift occurs, not just in your circumstances, but in your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is waiting for a breakthrough and start living as someone who creates it. You become aware of your role in creating with the divine. Your words are no longer filler for time. They are instruments of transformation. They carry the frequency of the life you are now living. So stay with the practice. Set the alarm if you must. Whisper the phrase in traffic. Declare it over your meals. Breathe it out in moments of stillness. Say it with faith. Say it with love. Say it with expectation. For every hour you speak the truth, you plant a seed of divine power. And in time, your entire reality will bloom in perfect harmony with the plan that has always been waiting to unfold. Under grace, in perfect ways. When you say a truth every hour, you are not simply repeating words. You are reordering your reality. Most people live as though they are victims of circumstances, helpless in the face of external pressures. but spiritual truth says otherwise. You are not a passive participant in life. You are a co-creator with divine power. And your most powerful tool for creation is the spoken word. The more consistently you speak from a place of spiritual authority, the more you begin to see the unseen power behind all things move on your behalf. You shift from being someone who reacts to what is happening to someone who commands what must come to pass. Every hour you affirm divine truth, you are activating a spiritual law. It's like tuning your inner frequency to align with divine timing, order, and blessing. What you focus on expands. And when you focus every hour on the perfect unfolding of your divine path, that path clears before you. Obstacles begin to dissolve, delays lose their grip, and confusion gives way to clarity. The phrase, "Nothing can hinder the divine plan of my life. It comes to pass under grace in perfect ways," is not just positive thinking. It is spiritual direction. It tells your mind where to go. It tells your emotions how to feel. It tells your environment what must adjust. Speaking this hourly truth keeps you spiritually awake. Life has a way of numbing people with repetition. Work, stress, responsibility, distractions. But when you stop every hour to speak a spiritual truth, you are choosing awareness over autopilot. You're telling your soul, stay alert, stay aligned, remember who you are. And in that moment of remembrance, miracles become possible. Not because something changed outside you, but because something shifted within. The subconscious mind thrives on routine. It doesn't respond to occasional bursts of motivation. It is shaped by what is repeated with emotion and belief. When you speak truth every hour, you are overriding old programming that says life is hard, blessings are rare, and you must struggle to succeed. Instead, you are impressing the deeper truth that grace is sufficient, that divine timing is perfect, that your path is already set and unfolding. And as this new programming settles in, your perception begins to shift. You stop expecting resistance and start expecting flow. There's also a hidden power in your voice. Your voice carries your personal vibration, your emotion, your energy, your belief. When you speak a divine affirmation, your own voice becomes a tool of alignment. It's not enough to think it. Thinking keeps it in the realm of theory. Speaking it brings it into form. Words move air. Air carries vibration. Vibration shapes matter. So every time you speak the words aloud, you are sending a ripple into the field of creation. That ripple moves in all directions, toward people, places, opportunities, solutions, and divine connections that are ready to meet you. Consistency is the secret ingredient. The power isn't just in the words. It's in your devotion to the words. Saying it once a day might feel good, but saying it every hour establishes a new rhythm for your soul. It becomes your new normal. And once it becomes normal for you to believe in divine order, to expect good, to trust grace, the universe reflects that belief in your outer world. The shift becomes visible. What once seemed like coincidence begins to look like orchestration. What once felt like delay now reveals itself as divine protection. And let's not overlook the emotional benefit. Speaking truth every hour calms the nervous system. It creates an inner sanctuary of peace. It reminds you that you are not alone, that you are being guided, and that your life is part of something bigger. That assurance doesn't just change your mindset, it changes your energy. And when your energy changes, so does your magnetism. You draw better experiences, kinder people, more aligned opportunities. Not by chasing them, but by becoming a match for them. The more you speak the truth, the more natural it becomes. Doubt loses its voice. Fear loses its grip. And faith becomes your first language. You stop wondering if things will work out and start knowing they already are. That certainty becomes the foundation of a life that flows. It doesn't mean challenges disappear, but it means your response to them is rooted in truth, not panic. You navigate life from a place of peace instead of pressure. So speak it again and again. Not out of desperation, but out of confidence. You are shaping your inner world, and your inner world always writes the script for what comes next. Say the words, believe them, feel them, live them. Because the life you want isn't waiting somewhere far away. It's waiting just on the other side of your spoken truth. The final key to shifting your entire reality through hourly declarations is understanding that your words are not only creative, they are prophetic. Every time you speak truth into your atmosphere, you are not merely describing your reality, you are declaring what it must become. You are stepping into your spiritual authority and prophesying over your life. This is not a passive repetition of a phrase. It is a bold act of spiritual governance. You are saying to your life, this is how it will be. This is the order it will follow. This is the grace it will manifest. And when you do this consistently, especially every hour, you step out of the cycle of fear-based reaction and into the flow of divine manifestation. You begin to live above the noise of the world. The world will always speak fear, urgency, scarcity, and limitation. It will flood your senses with messages that make you feel small, uncertain, or behind. But your words are your counter signal to that noise. They are your declaration that you are not bound by what you see or feel in the moment. You are bound only by spiritual truth. And spiritual truth says your life is unfolding in perfect, divine order. Saying this out loud every hour becomes a protective shield. It's like surrounding your soul with light every time darkness tries to creep in. And over time, this light becomes so strong that negativity loses its ability to penetrate your peace. There is also deep emotional healing that comes through this hourly practice. Often, people carry unspoken pain, unresolved trauma, or subconscious beliefs that keep them stuck in cycles of struggle. But when you interrupt those cycles with the constant rhythm of truth, healing begins to take place. You are re-parenting your mind. You are telling the wounded parts of yourself, you are safe. You are chosen. You are walking a path of grace. And with each repetition, those wounds begin to close. The energy you once gave to pain, fear, or shame is now redirected toward peace, joy, and purpose. This is also how you build spiritual endurance. Life will not always look the way you want it to look. There will be moments when it seems like the truth you are speaking is not matching what you are seeing. But this is exactly when your hourly declaration becomes most powerful. You are choosing to believe before you see, which is the purest form of faith. You are walking by vision, not by sight. And the spiritual world always responds to vision first. The more you persist, the more your reality begins to catch up with what your spirit has already declared. What once required effort begins to happen naturally. What once felt distant begins to feel inevitable. Your hourly words also begin to influence others. Whether they hear you say them or not, your energy shifts. You walk differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with quiet confidence. People begin to notice the peace that surrounds you, the ease with which things flow to you, the light in your eyes. Without even trying to convince anyone, you become a living example of what alignment looks like. You show others what is possible when someone commits to spiritual truth. And often, without knowing it, your consistency gives others permission to believe again, to hope again, to try again. And finally, the beauty of this practice is that it invites divine partnership. You are not doing this alone. Every time you speak the words, you are inviting the divine to co-create with you. You are opening the door to miracles, synchronicities, and holy surprises. You are saying, I trust you to do what I cannot. I will speak the truth, and you will fulfill it in your perfect way. This surrender is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the recognition that your role is not to force life into shape, but to align with the higher order that already exists for you. That order is written in grace. That plan is filled with peace. That path is overflowing with provision. So continue. Set the intention. Speak the truth. Let your words rise like incense every hour. Let them echo in your mind, pour from your lips, and saturate your environment. You are not repeating a mantra. You are building a new world with your voice. And in time, you will wake up to find that the shift you longed for has already happened. Not suddenly, but steadily, one sacred hour at a time.